So now starts the third part of the midterm project. In this part, I will basically load the Google mobility data first, and then I will manipulate the Google mobility data accordingly. So the first thing first, I'm going to loading the Google mobility data. Okay, I'm going to load the mobile mobility data, and I have the Google mobility data in the of US in the same directory where I basically saving my where I'm basically saving my project. So this is the US Google mobility data for 2020, 2021, and 2022. So I'm going to what is it? I don't want it. So I want the Google mobility data of US. So I want to get the info and I copy the file name basically to put there. So I copy. So I'm going to uh, load the right data, wait underscore CSV, and the name, putting the name of the data. This is the Google Mobility data of US for 2020. So I'm going to name it as Google Mobility 2020. And I'm going to copy and paste it because the file names are all same, just the 2021. Just have to change something like for 21, it will be 21. And for 2021, I have to put it 2021. And for 2022 I have to put 2022 and I have to put 2022 here. So this is the Google mobility and I want to see one of the data frames like GM20 how it looks like. So this is basically the Google mobility data of 2020. So what I want to do now is to basically after loading the Google mobility data, I want to stack all three data frames into into a single. Basically, I want to stack those three data frames one by one. So one after another. So I'm going to stacking the data frames. So for stacking the data frames, what I'm going to do is I will use a function called rbind, row bind. And using the function I will give the arguments as gm20, gm21 and gm22. These are all the three arguments and I am going to tell it like tb table gm and all tb gm all Google mobility all. Okay, I'm going to rename it as tb gm all and I'm going to call it again gm all, call it again so that I can see the overall data frame. And so this is basically the stacked version of the three data frames. And there are a lot of columns, but I'm not concerned about all the columns. I'm just concerned about the country regions. I want to know the dates and all these values. So I'm going to select uh, columns from this data frame. So what I'm going to do is like from tbgmall, from tbgmall, I'm going to drop some columns, I guess. I can do it. I can drop some columns from it. If I drop some columns, let's see what it happens. Select. minus C. So from the column 1 and 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 2 to 7, all these columns. I want to drop all these columns, 2 to 7. Division 1 and select, I'm going to drop all these columns, and I want to save it in a variable like called division all summarized. So this is a variable. Let's see if it's worked or not. So I think it should work. So I have the place ID column. I don't want it. I have the place ID column. I don't want it, and I don't have the country columns. I did place ID, country region. I want the country region column. I want to drop the first column, country region code, and I want to drop the two. I want to drop three from 3 to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay. Want to drop all this column. Let's see what happens. So now I have the country region column, census flip codes. Uh, energy region code has been 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 3 to 8. I have to delete 3 to 8 columns. Now it should look like that data frame. Yes, this data frame has a country, region, date, retail baseline, percent from the changes, and all other things that I want basically. So this data frame is the expected data frame that I want, and I want to summarize the data frame by the date because there are a lot of 15 dates of different states in the United States. So I will use the summarize function dbgm all summarized, and I want to uh, first of all I want to group by the thing, group by date, and then after group by I will uh, pass the function summarize if function. If the data set is numeric, then I will summarize it. If the data frame is numeric, then I will summarize it, and I want the mean of the summarized rows, and not assigned for not assigned and is true. That means it will remove the not assigned uh, rows, and I want to rename it as tvdm to summarize 2. Summarize 2. I want to rename it in this name, and I copy it, and we want to paste it here. So let's see what happens right now. So this data frame has the this data frame is a summarized version of the previous data frame, and it was grouped by according to the date. So now I want to know the maximum and the minimum, finding the most farthest and the most recent date of the data. So what I can do, I can easily copy my previous code, the start and end date of the data frame. Easily copy my code and paste it and edit it. Command V. So my data frame name is db2gm all summarize 2. So I will give the meaning. It is the data frame name here with this name, and I'll change the data frame name here and give this name, and it looks like this. So this is basically this command basically show me that the date or start date of the data frame is 2020 and 2 February, and the most recent date is basically 2022 September 16th of this month, I guess. So what I'm going to do is now to uh, filter the data frame between these two dates. Uh, Not this data frame. I want all the data of the daily cases USA data frame. So between two dates. So filtering daily cases USA with this time frame. So what I want to do is get a chunk and start date. Start equal year, month, day, I guess 2020 to 15, and the end date is like year, month, day 2022, sorry, 2022 9 16, year, month, day, and I want to filter the daily cases USA data frame. Here it is the daily cases USA data frame. Where is the daily cases USA data frame? Hmm. This is the daily cases user data frame. So I will call the daily case user data frame, and I'm going to filter the data frame. Filter the data frame where the date column, there is a date column in the data frame. Date will be greater than equal start, and sorry, and date will be less than or equal to end. And so this will basically select all the dates and all the rows between this data frame, and I will call it as US daily cases. The cases. So if I want to see the data frame US, okay, I didn't did the what assign. Oh shit, I didn't put the. So I'm going to call it again to see how the data frame looks like. So yeah, this data frame has the all the US daily cases between this selected uh, two time frames. So what I'm going to do is I want to merge the two data frame, the Google Mobility data frame and the other data frame together. Merging, merging the Google Mobility and COVID-19 data frame together. Google Mobility and COVID-19 data frame together. So to merge the data frame, I will call the merge function merge data frame, and I'm going to give the data frame names. First one is US daily cases, US underscore daily cases, and another thing is the TB all summarized too. TBGM all summarized too. These two data frame will be merged based on the date. So by date they will be summarized, and all y is 2. So I'm going to take all the columns, all the rows that basically are UA. So and I'm going to call it as Google Mobility of merged data frame, MER merged data frame. So this will merge the two data frame together, and let's see how it looks like. The nice data frame looks like this, and It has been merged totally, and I want to add the row names for this COVID-19 merge data frame. So the row dot names of the gm underscore cov row names of the gm underscore mars is equal to basically uh, the gm underscore cov row names will be the date column. So I will assign the date column to the row names of this data frame. So I will call it the date column row names, and I want to see the how the it looks like gm how it looks like. So now the data frame gm mars has a rows as like the date column of the data set. So after doing this, what I want to do, I want to scale the data frame from row 2 all the way up to row 8 column, because without scaling, the plot won't uh, be of the plot will look different, because the data is so the data has different type of scaling in each and every column. So scaling the data frame. So for scaling the data frame, what I want to do is I will basically select uh, the GM COVID-19 data set merged. I will basically select uh, all the all the rows, uh, all the columns from 2 up to the end. It is the first column, this 2 up to the end. I'll selected it, and I will scale it. I will scale the data frame. And after scaling, I will convert into a data frame. Dot frame. After scaling, I will convert it into a data frame. So the data convert into a data frame, and I'm going to call it like gmcov merged and then scaled. So it will help me to think what's going merged and okay, scaled. So this is gmcov merged scaled, and I'm going to see how it looks like. So the data has been scaled, and I want to add a date column to this gmcov merged scaled to a date column, and the date column will be equal to the date column of the gmcov merged dataset. The date column of the gmcov merged dataset. So I'm going to take the date column of this dataset and assigning it to as a date column in the gmcov merged scale dataset. So if I call it now gm underscore cov merged scaled, so I will see that uh, hopefully date column has been added to the end. Yeah, a date column has been added to the end. So a date column has been added. Now my basic purpose is to plot the chart, right? To plotting the chart, what I have to do, I have to select some columns that I am interested and meld those columns together, so that I can have all the variable names in one column and their values in another column, and values and variable names whatever. So for doing it, at first, like plotting the, so I'll do the plotting in single chunk. Plotting the GM Google mobility and COVID-19 data daily cases. So doing it, I want to know the names of the this data frame. What is the name of the data frame? GM Cov scaled, I guess. Yeah, I want to know the names of this data frame, and I want to select some columns from this. So I will create a vector of columns. Select columns. So I will create a vector of column names. Like I want the daily cases. I want the daily daily cases. For the daily cases, I want the date column, and like I want the park, workplace, and residential columns. Parks, just from parks, workplace, and residential. Now, workplace percentage from the baseline. Parks, workplace, and residential percentage from the baseline. So I'll select these columns, and what I'm going to do is I will melt the GM Cove merged scale data frame. So melt GM merged data frame, and the measure variables are basically the selected columns. These variables I want to measure, select columns, and I want to say the value name should be values. The value name, well, values, and the variable name equal variable. And I want this called the GM code merge scaled melt. Want to call this data and assign it to a variable called scaled melt. So it will help me to see what's going on inside. Sorry. What did I did? This will be put down here. So, and I want to see how the data frame looks like. So this melt scale data frame has the variables, the values, all the variables and all the values in it, and somehow it basically uh, my scale data frame daily cases, somehow it basically missed the date column, I guess. Daily cases, the column, did it miss the date column? I guess this missed the date column. Perhaps let's put it at the end, I guess. Date column was in the end. Is it showing up right now? I need the date column. It's not showing the date column in here. Daily cases, percentage, work parks percentage from the baseline, workplace, residential, all the data are available. Value names equal value, variable names. I don't know what's going on. Whatever, I'm going to take this data frame. I'm going to take this data frame, and I will assign a date column to it. I guess I will take this data frame. Oh, sorry. What I did the date column. I assigned the date column which has been melted to the column, so I don't shouldn't have put it. Now it showed the date column in here. I shouldn't take that. Yes. I melted the date column with the variables, so this shouldn't be done. So I will call the ggplot and give them the gm cov mars scaled mail data frame, and call the aesthetics as x equal date and y equal, I say values. In the y-axis I want to uh, put the value, and I want to say the colors as variables. Colors as variable. Color as variable, and I want to call the state smooth. Smooth. I'll put this pen like 0.2. So let's see how the graph look like. Oh, this looks very pretty. Pretty graph. It basically says a lot of things. The first thing is that uh, when the daily cases was high, uh, people stayed more at the home. So these two peaks are following each other. And the parks was not peaking then. That means people stopped going to the park, and also in the workplaces. The workplaces fault. And when the case was low, like this point when the case was low, people went more to the parks, and workplace is also where also workplace going to workplaces were very high at the time. And the residential and when the cases is low, people stayed less at home. That means there was that is they went more outside than staying in the inside in the house. So this is basically the uh, uh, merging of the COVID-19 and the Google mobility dataset and the visualization of the dataset for the USA. And the second part of the video, I will show the this I will generate this graph for the case of Bangladesh. Well, we'll see what basically differs from differs into different countries. Where one part of the world is the restrictions and the manners were highly maintained, social distancing, but one part of the world people didn't care that much about the things. So that will be demonstrated in the second part of the analysis of the midterm project one.